Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So my name is Sonya Stallworth, and I am the Personal and Work Life Consultant here at the Airman and Family Readiness Center. Does anybody know what Personal Life Consultant stands for?
Personal life, someone who gives advice for personal issues.
Okay.
I guess.
Yes. So what they kind of call me here on base is the life coach. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. I do life skill education classes here at the center, geared towards anything that would affect a military member or their family during the military life cycle. I also do a little bit of counseling. I coordinate the HeartLink program for military spouses in addition to the Key Spouse program. So those are some of the services that I am able to offer while I'm here. This morning I have been tasked to share a really great workshop with you, and it's entitled Creating a Positive Work Environment. And I'll just go over some of the things that we're going to cover today. We'll talk a little bit about attitude. We'll talk about the difference between being assertive versus non-assertive. We'll talk about the C's for communication. We'll also discuss how you can develop positive work relationships, in addition to suggestions for possibly getting along with your coworkers, how to have safe sharing environments in your workplace, and then ways that you can kind of reduce workplace stress. And then at the end, we'll take some time for questions and comments. Now, how do we define attitude? If I had to ask you this morning how you define attitude, what would you say?
Behavior, I would say.
Okay, so it's
Someone's behavior.
someone's behavior,
Someone's disposition.
somebody's disposition. Anybody else? Okay. One thing that we do know about attitude is that there's a choice in the type of attitude that we have. So we get to choose how we are. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yes, and one thing that we also know is that your attitude can actually be changed. Yes, okay. And sometimes when people have very bad attitudes, we can also ignore them. Now, when we talk about attitudes, and if you start to think about the people in your workplace, I know sometimes you think, oh, some of these people have really bad attitudes. You know, they're not team players. A lot of that comes from learned behaviors. And when I talk about learned behaviors, what I mean is, you know, as you were growing up as a kid, and you noticed things that your parents did, and you started doing them as you became older, and you were like, where did I get this from? You got it from your parents. And I'll give you an example. When I was younger, my mother was awfully afraid of dogs. And so I became afraid of dogs. Now, as I got older, I learned that, so it's not really all dogs that I'm afraid of. It's actually big, boisterous, mean dogs that I'm afraid of. But because her presence and because she was the integral part, you know, in me growing up, that became the learned behavior for me. So it was kind of like passed on. You know, and I'm sure you all have some examples of things that you kind of learned from your parents that have been passed on to you as well. Now, those learned behaviors become habits, right?
Yeah.
Would y'all agree? Do you have one that you learned that might have become a habit? Something that your parents might have done that you just kind of picked up on it and now it's just what you do? Is anybody?
Might sound crazy, but we never baked anything in our house.
Right.
So when I got of age, all I knew how to do was fry chicken. I never knew about baked chicken.
Okay.
But the military taught me about actually baking chicken being healthier. So that's
That is
for me.
really, really very, very good. And so from those habits, what is created from habits are perceptions. So probably with your example that you just shared, it was a learned behavior, you got it from your household. it became a habit for you, like, hey, I fry everything. I'm not baking anything.
No.
And so when people maybe saw you eating in the chow hall, or the people you started associating yourself with, they perceived something about you.
Yes.
They started seeing. They were like, well, what did they see?
Fry everything.
He fries everything.
Yes.
And that must mean something.
Yes.
Right? So now, perceptions are easy to change, just like attitude. But when we get to the point of perceptions turning into judgments, it's a little bit different, because judgments are where people are a little bit more negative towards you. They put labels on you, and they're just a little harder for people to let go of.